Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from today. Welcome to another WSI webinar. Now, before we get started, we just want to do a quick sound check to make sure you can see our slides, you can hear me, you can see me on webcam. So if you can just use the question box just to submit that information to us so we know we're good to go, that would be great. Awesome, great. Looks like we're loud and clear. So I'd like to officially welcome you to this WSI webinar entitled PPC Optimization Tips from Google. Now, my name is Cheryl Baldwin. I'm the Director of Marketing at WSI Corporate, and I'll be your host today. Now, before we get started, though, I do like to just go through a couple of housekeeping items. First off, we always get questions around whether our webinar is going to be recorded and made available after the fact. And yes, definitely that is something that we will be doing. Before we dive into the presentation, though, a couple of other things to make note of. We will definitely have time for Q&A at the end. And I know that you guys may have a lot of questions around PPC, especially with having Google on the call and being our presenter today. So make sure you type those into the question box. We'll handle as many of those as we can during our time with you today. And we'll also make sure that you do get a copy of the slides that we will be presenting today as well. If you experience any audio issues, sometimes that happens when we have this many number of people on the call. We always recommend maybe just flipping your audio options between computer and phone. Sometimes that works, sometimes switching to the phone works. Sometimes you just got to jump off and jump back in. So without further ado, I want to make sure that you just have an idea of who we are, WSI, before we get started. And so in case you aren't aware, WSI has been around for 25 years now. We're actually in our 25th year as a company, and we've helped literally hundreds of thousands of businesses with their digital marketing strategies. And so whether you're new to just starting a business or you've been in the business game for a long time, we're here to help you. We know digital marketing can be complex. We know there's a lot of avenues to navigate with regards to digital marketing, and so that's why we like to provide you webinar education like this, but also we're always here for a point of contact to answer any questions you have and work to help improve your digital marketing strategies. Now, our session today, I'm really excited about. We are going to be discussing some of the latest search trends, as well as helping you kind of understand the key tools and resources that are available to really optimize your Google ad campaigns and ultimately get more out of the Google ad campaigns you're running. And so we felt who better to talk about Google ads and how to improve those than Google themselves. So I'm super excited to introduce our presenter today, Angelina Miller. Now, Angelina is an agency development manager at Google and has been there for the last 5 years or so. But she has close to 10 years of experience in the digital marketing space and has worked from a range of clients, from startups to Fortune 500 companies like General Motors on their digital strategies. She is clearly at Google is on the pulse of what's happening in the search industry and obviously on what's specifically happening with Google search. And so I know she has some great information to share with you today. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Angelina and pass it over to you.
Thanks so much, Cheryl. Hi, everyone. I see that there's a lot of folks here. I wish I could see all of your faces, but I'm just so happy that we can connect, and I'm more grateful that the folks at WSI invited me to be here today. This is a really great opportunity for me to connect with a lot of folks all at once, and more importantly, on some of the new things that we have going on from a product standpoint from Google that you all can use right now. We have some brand new data that just got released last week that we're able to share because of our partnership with WSI. So just a lot of really cool things that we're going to try to pack in. Thank you so much for the intro. I know that you folks are here from all around the world. I myself am in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I don't know if you saw in the bio, but in addition to being a Googler, I'm also in graduate school at the University of Michigan, in case anybody is also a fellow Wolverine on the call, if anyone is from the area. So I'm just going to jump into the agenda. We're going to walk through an overview of today's landscape. I mentioned we have some brand new data. With everything that's changing so quickly right now, Google's been actually doing a really good job of monitoring the trends in the landscape and making sure that's available to us. I'm going to share that. We also have some solutions for growing sales, whether you're B2C, B2B, we have solutions for both. And then as far as acting on some of these trends and acting on some of these solutions we're going to talk about, I have some very concrete tools that you can use right now to sort of reactivate or accelerate your business, whether it's going into the holiday season or if you're B2B, just sort of in general. So let's jump right into it. All right, so for the overview, go to the next slide here. We can go right into the next slide. And what we have here is some research by McKinsey. This is not Google data, but it's from McKinsey. And what we've learned, and this is an oversimplification, but decisions made here can actually have a huge impact when we look forward to what we're noting is here. So I understand the state of things has affected everyone differently, personally and professionally, and we'd be remiss if we didn't address that and talk about that at the beginning of this session, because it's just fundamentally shifted how we do business, how we function in our own homes. We have, I don't have it here, but we have recent data that shows that just in the past 6 months, we've seen an economic shift that's greater than what we've seen over in the past 10 years. So we can't really avoid talking about it. But what I do want to say is that today we're going to be primarily focusing on the here and now and how to best plan for the future. We're not going to look back. We're just going to talk about what it means to go forward. Next slide, please. So out of the many, here are just a few key themes that we see emerging in the current landscape. So first, we're seeing curbside pickup and contactless deliveries are skyrocketing. 56% of consumers say they are likely to use curbside pickup for even non-grocery purchases within the next 30 days. It's important to understand this because the appetite is also growing for curbside pickup outside of grocery, like I mentioned, which means that most consumers want to transact online, and they're likely going to do all of their research online before they arrive. So even if you're not a retailer, say you're a law firm, say you're a dental office, say you have something to do with maybe home remodeling, contracting, something like that, it can be services, but folks are doing all their research ahead. And if they do have to see you in person, they're wanting to make it quick, if they even want to see you in person at all. So what this means is that your digital presence and people's ability to engage with you digitally is more important now than ever. I would say, and even if we think about our own personal habits, I haven't been to the grocery store in, gosh, months. And I've even transitioned to pretty much getting everything delivered that I can. Not only is it highly convenient, but it's a lot of the larger retailers making it really easy. And I think it's just as important for small to mid-sized retailers or services to sort of do the same thing, because that's what consumers are looking for. The next piece I think is really interesting. It's for B2B and B2C. So what we're seeing is that brand loyalty is actually falling. So people are loyal to their needs, whether they are essential or not, and they're open to new brands who can satisfy those needs. So this is a really good opportunity for businesses to engage with consumers that maybe were brand loyal before, who are now no longer concerned as much with that loyalty and really are just looking to have those needs satisfied now. And finally, we are approaching holiday season. Holiday is going to look a little bit different this year. In fact, it already does look different. 72% of holiday shoppers are going to shop more online this season. They were already shopping a lot online in general, but a vast majority of folks are going to shop online even more. And most of these folks are buying from brands that are brand new. We also have data to show that folks are well beyond already starting to shop for holiday. So the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, still important, but we have data that shows that folks have already started shopping in August. So if you are a retailer of any kind, or even if you sell gift cards in your service, now is the time to be making yourself present. %60 of US consumers are shopping as much or more than they were before. So this is outside of holiday, just in general. Even with the economic shift, people are actually shopping more than they were before. And I think what's really fascinating here is for B2B, it's also accelerated. It's also accelerated a trend by which buyers are expecting more from brands, and they're bringing their B2C expectations with them. We've actually internally at Google, we've been calling this sort of consumerization of B2B. So people are getting so used to having their needs met immediately, intuitively with some of these B2C retailers that when they are thinking about B2C or B2B, excuse me, they're wanting sort of that same effect. On the note of B2B, another recent McKinsey study found that during COVID, digital sales interactions are now twice as important as traditional sales interactions for B2B buyers, as the majority, so about 65%, believe that the new model is equally or more effective. So what this means is that about over half of people feel in the B2B industry feel that digital engagement is more important. So looking ahead, how can us B2B folks be thinking about how to make our digital presence more engaging and more immediate for our customers? We also have a study that shows it takes 66 days to form a habit. So most of us are nearing about 100 days working from home. I know I'm one of those people. This really further blurs the lines between our work and our personal lives. For example, behind my computer, you can't see it, but I have a dog bone waiting in case my dog decides that he wants to join this webinar. So the lines are completely blurred. And when you think about B2B buyers, the habits that these folks are forming today are just going to continue to be the norm in terms of how they want to interact with B2B brands in the future. So if you think about making some of these these adjustments to digital for B2B now, it's not a quick fix to match the market demand. It's likely going to be something that is going to sustain well beyond the current moment. Okay, so we're going to get into some Google specific solutions around a variety of different objectives. Go to the next slide, please. So 2 core strategies to connect consumers with your business. We have two separate pieces here, and I'll go through them. So first, I want to say that our goal at Google is to enable the connection between the online and offline interactions that a consumer is making when they're engaging with your business. That is one of our primary goals. These 2 core strategies touch both. So the first one is more of a store-centric approach. So if you are a retailer, a law firm, you work in banking, general contracting, dentistry, anything where you require an online presence, but you also have a storefront, if you will. We are going to talk about a few solutions to sort of like maximize the return on investment while also focusing on your offline presence. The second strategy is omni-channel. So this is important for both, but this is really speaking to the folks here that are in B2B. So if you're not familiar with what omni-channel means, maybe you've heard of it. Omni-channel, all that means is that it's just a marketing strategy that has multiple consumer touch points. So you'll kind of see on this roadmap, it means that you're trying to engage with people along all the different points of their journey. YouTube, while they're relaxing on the couch and watching videos about new recipes. Then you're going to try to also engage them on social. And then you're going to try to also engage them on search and display. Like you have a multi-channel approach. And that's really all that that means. Okay. So for the first piece, the store-centric approach, here are a few tactics that you can use right now to drive the goal of growing traffic to your stores while also having a strong online presence. The first is smart bidding. So we offer a product called Smart Bidding. Essentially what this is it's a bid automation tool, and it uses machine learning to optimize for conversions in each and every ad auction that occurs on Google. For those of you that are familiar with Google PPC and you've been sort of around for a while and you get the terminology, we used to have you all manually do this. So you'd bid, I'm not willing to pay more than $4 for this click. We now have a solution called Smart Bidding, again, that uses machine learning that optimizes within every single ad auction that occurs to make sure that you get the highest return based on your goal. So if your goal is return on ad spend, we have a solution for that. If you have a goal just to get as many conversions as possible for the same spend, we have a solution for that. If you have a target CPA goal, also have a solution for that. But this is key to maximizing your return because it's much smarter than setting a static amount of money for how much you want to bid. The second is location extensions. So these are super, super simple to set up and they make a huge impact. These allow you to show your business address, phone number, and a map marker alongside the text on Google search. You're probably familiar with seeing this. And if you don't have this already for your store, I suggest getting this set up immediately. It makes a huge, huge difference. And then finally, we have something called local campaigns. So these are actually pretty new. I don't know if any of you all have seen the new Google commercials actually, but they don't call them out as local campaigns in the commercial, but that's essentially what they're showing. And these are first ever Google Ads campaign type that are specifically designed to optimize for store visits. So it's a fully automated solution, end to end, optimizes your bids, your creatives, ad placements, and its sole function is to drive traffic to your store. So if you do have a business that you really need to have some of that like interaction face to face, this is a really good solution for you. Moving over to omni-channel. So this is where we see, this is a really good strategy for B2B, but honestly, it's a good strategy for everyone. So again, smart bidding is really important. One thing you can do though on the B2B side with smart bidding is you can actually use your lead data. We see this as sort of being the most cutting edge way to bid on Google for PPC. Basically, you upload your CRM data, and it's anonymous and it's fully privacy protected, but you upload the information and then you're able to bid based on a profile that matches your most valuable customers. So we take that information and we're able to sort of model what your most valuable customer looks like using your own data and then bid for those people. It's pretty cool. And we see it having the highest return on Google search. Excuse me. Next, YouTube. 70% of viewers say that they bought a brand as a result of seeing it on YouTube. I mean, yes, you need the creative assets to be on YouTube, but what we're seeing is that there are a multitude of tools now that are available to create very quick and easy videos. We have one in Google Ads already, Video Builder, It's free. You can create your own videos. You can have them done in 10 minutes. You don't need to have the production quality of Coca-Cola to have a really successful video. I think this is a Canadian stat, but I mean, YouTube reaches over 91% of the population. So I mean, that means two things. One, there's expansive reach, but even if you don't want to spend that much, because there's so much inventory, it's actually a very cost-effective way to get your branding message out there, like very cost-effective. We see views of 1 cent to 5 cents. I mean, it's very, very inexpensive, and I think it's underutilized by small businesses in particular. Finally, discovery. If you're not familiar with this, it's a native ad. It can be either image or video, and you're able to reach the inventory there is about 3 billion people monthly. On the YouTube homepage, these show up, the Watch Next feeds, Gmail promotions. I don't know if you all are familiar with, if you have a Android phone, but if you go to like the Google like homepage, it can show up underneath there. It's new, and a lot of times what we see users or advertisers doing is they're using their social creative also on discovery as like a good complement. This is new, and it's very automated. You don't have to do a lot, and we see it being highly effective. So all of these are available to you right now. Okay, going into ACT, reactivation and acceleration. So as we think about driving growth in the changing landscape, here are 4 things that you can also use right now that are tools, not necessarily like the products that we just talked about. So the first is using Google Trends. If you're not familiar with Google Trends, you can go to trends.google.com, and this is free. It's real time, and it is immensely useful for understanding demand for your business, your industry. You can filter by location, country, etc. And you can access search insights and essentially better understand changing consumer behavior. The second, forecast demand and how optimizations will affect your overall return using Performance Planner. We're going to actually walk through that, so I'm not going to go through that too much right now, but that's available to you right now in Google Ads. Third, use Optimization Score to optimize your campaigns quickly and easily. And we actually see an average return of 10% in conversions when this is used effectively, and we're going to walk through that as well. And the fourth, learn how other thought leaders are coping with business challenges on Think with Google. We actually have some new tools that have launched at Think with Google, thinkwithgoogle.com. We have a new advertising solution center, a YouTube mockup tool. This tool is actually really neat. It allows you to take a still of your creative, or even if it's just an image at this point, say you don't have a video, but you can see what it looks like in all of the different ad sizes on YouTube. So for those of you that are not the actual client, say you are someone that manages PPC for a client, the YouTube mockup tool is a good way to show them, hey, this is what it's going to look like, and it just gives a really good visual, and it's free. Then we have a ton of case studies. So I encourage you to check out thinkwithgoogle.com. I consistently share articles from thinkwithgoogle.com on LinkedIn. They're quite good. So let's move into the first tool, which is Performance Planner. So Performance Planner is essentially a media planning tool. This is available to you in Google Ads right now. So if you were to go into your account, you will be able to see it up in like the tools and then the drop down and say Performance Planner. So before Performance Planner, it was estimated that Googlers and advertisers spent 2 to 4 hours manually doing what Performance Planner can do instantly. Okay. Performance Planner allows you to get a better ROI and to grow faster without sacrificing profitability, because it can estimate and forecast for you using millions of inputs of data. In a nutshell, and I'm going to show you what this actually looks like, because you might be like, okay, what you talking about? Performance Planner essentially forecasts demand. It then simulates the auctions, uses machine learning to fine-tune the forecasts, and then gives you a validated result on what you should be planning for based on your input. So let's just take a look. Go to the next slide here. So in Google Ads, this is what it's going to look like. When you open it up, you're going to input a few options, like what campaigns you want to forecast for. Maybe it's your CPA goal. And you're going to click Create Plan, I think it says. What you're going to receive is this interactive chart. The blue line is estimated conversions based on a specific spend. There's also a little gray dot. In this, you can slide along the blue curve to see where you will be the most profitable depending on how much you spend. So for example, you say, I will not pay more than $12.51 per lead. That's where we cap out at our profitability. You can use this slider to show you when you're going to sort of hit that point of diminishing returns. The reason why this is important is because we get this question as Googlers all the time. How much should we be spending on that? Has anyone ever asked you that? Like, okay, we want to run this campaign and do this thing and do that. How much should we spend? It's like the question that we constantly get. I know a lot of you folks constantly either get the question or looking for the answer, and this is the tool that helps you find that answer. And the important piece is it's not just spend, it's how much do we spend and stay profitable. So as you move the gray dot along the curve, you can show where you should stop before you're going to wind up needing to sacrifice on how much you're willing to pay per lead. This is updated. The data that this forecasting tool uses is updated constantly. So this is always fresh. So going into the holiday season, this is great to use regularly. This is great to use as there's more economic shifts. This is great to use no matter what. And it's available to you right now. All right, let's move on to the next tool. So the next tool is optimization score. So what optimization score is it's an estimate of how well your Google Ads campaigns are set to perform. So OptiScore runs from 0 to 100%, with 100% meaning that your account is likely to perform its full potential. If you all were to go into your Google Ads account right now, you're going to see something on the side that says recommendations. Click on the recommendations tab, and you're going to see your OptiScore, what it is right now. Essentially, what this also is going to show you is corresponding optimization recommendations. The reason why this is important is for a lot of reasons. We use machine learning in your own account data to surface the recommendations that you're seeing in your account. Okay. When we see an account over 90% OptiScore, we see an average increase in conversions of 10%, because that means that you've optimized your account based on true data, like on data, and the data that we've surfaced. So this saves your team or you a ton of time in doing some of these like account hygiene tasks, so that you can be more focused on things that are a little bit more strategic, say maybe creative or measurement or reporting or client engagement. Let's make this a little more real and go to the next slide, and I can show you what it looks like on an actual interface if you don't have an account that you're looking in right now. So rather than looking at generic best practices, The recommendations here are based on your actual campaign's performance. So this is an example of what it looks like. You're going to see the optimization score for this account is 94%. And then next to that, you're going to see some bubbles. These are just categories of optimizations that you can look into. Repairs, bids and budgets, keywords and targeting. You click on these and you're going to see the recommendation below. And with one click, you can apply the changes. One thing that I see folks save a lot of money on is under keywords. We will routinely serve or flag suggestions to remove keywords that are wildly overspending and not giving you any return. Understandably, this can be easily missed, but that's one useful thing that's flagged often. We also will create ads and extensions for you using machine learning. And if you like the result, you click apply. You can get those location extensions I was telling you about immediately, new ads immediately, fix keyword issues immediately. Or say you haven't had the time to use Performance Planner, you go into budgets and it will give you recommendation on what you should be spending while maintaining the same CPA goal. So it's doing a lot of this work for you. Go in, click apply on what makes sense, and then you can move on to some of the other things that, again, are a little more strategic, like creative or measurement, reporting, coming up with new ideas. Maybe it's the campaign build, and we take some of that those hygiene tasks away. Next slide, please. So I kind of already alluded to some of these, but here are the types of recommendations that you are going to see. Ads and extensions. You can refine your ads, create new ones, show your best ads more often, and organize them all with this tool. Automated campaigns. So you're going to find suggestions for where it makes sense to use automated bidding, targeting, ad creation. Bidding and budgets. Finding your optimal bid strategy and ensuring that your campaigns are not limited by budget, that are profitable. Keyword is profitable. It's not a tool to tell you to spend more. It's a tool to say, hey, you're wildly profitable here. I'm going to flag this for you so that you know that you can continue to grow while maintaining that same level of cost per acquisition. It's pretty useful, really. A lot of this was done manually before. Keywords and targeting, reach more people who are interested in what you offer. And then repairs, you might just have some things that are kind of broken in there, pretty normal. These flag them for you and you can go in and fix it with one click. So just a quick recap and summary. I mentioned, the latest search and industry landscape data points. I think what a key takeaway here is to understand that the work that we put in now has a huge impact months from now. And there's a saying, there's someone on our team at Google that says this all the time, but like your future self will thank you for the work that you do now. So knowing that there's a very, very vast transformation to digital engagement for all businesses, your future self will thank you for the work you put in now to be more engaging with your customers through some sort of digital means. And then using Google Ads appropriately to sort of get the folks there and keep the engagement going. Highlighted 2 plans for growing sales, whether it's for folks that have a store or don't, B2B. B2B consumers are expecting the same level of engagement as they do in their B2C interactions. The consumerism of B2B. And then finally, please leverage the tools that we talked about. They're all free. Performance Planner. I would say OptiScore would probably be the #1 place I would start. And there's plenty of information on that too if you Google it, but it's really as easy as going into the account, hitting the recommendations tab, and then applying what makes sense. It can make a huge impact on performance, and it can take you less than 10 minutes. And that's new. It's a new feature. So if you want more tips or more information, let's go to the next slide, please. We have this checklist, and it's actually, if you look in the GoToWebinar control panel under handouts, it's listed there, the Google checklist for businesses PDF, and you can download that. And this has a ton of additional resources for you that you can use and set up by category. And you can share this, take this back to your teams and share with them as well. I'm gonna hand it back over to Cheryl.
Great, thanks so much, Angelina. That's a lot of great information. We do have lots of questions coming in, but before we jump into Q&A, I mean, obviously, I just want to remind people there was a lot that was discussed here, a lot of tools, a lot of resources, and depending on your team setup, sometimes you might be able to go in there and do this stuff yourself. Sometimes you don't have the resources to do that, and that's really where a WSI consultant steps in. So make sure that if you need help with any of this sort of stuff, want to talk your strategy, maybe you want to kind of get an audit done or a review of your current strategy, reach out. We're here to help. Talk to your local WSI consultant, the person that referred you to this webinar, or you can reach out to contact@wsiworld.com and we'll put you in touch with someone locally. So great, let's get into some Q&A. And I know that some of the tools you mentioned, so performance planner and optimization score, I could see really getting into those and doing it for kind of each campaign. Like, would you do that multiple times? Would you use those tools across a campaign multiple times? Like, how often should someone be leveraging those tools at the campaign level?
I would say performance planner, get your score above 90%. And then once you're above 90%, I'd say you can check in on that maybe every 2-3 weeks. And as far as performance planner goes, I would check that out immediately. I would look and see if you're sort of where you fall on that scale. And then I would say use it as needed after that. So if you have something coming up, or maybe monthly,
Right.
that's definitely not a tool to use more frequently than monthly.
Yeah, and the optimization tool you mentioned, 90%, is that the benchmark of the optimization score? Like, what's the score people should be trying to hit at the very least?
I would say 90% is the minimum score that you should have. If you're at 90% or above, you're in a good spot.
Okay, and we're an international company, so we could have people in here from all parts of the world. The tools you mentioned, are they available across regions and languages? Can you speak to that a bit?
Yes. So the tools are globally launched. So everything we discuss is globally available and available in, I believe, in all languages.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to jump in. We've got, going back to some of your stats, the one stat you mentioned with regards to brand loyalty, kind of people not being as loyal to brands. In your opinion, do you think the shifting in brand loyalty is being impacted by inventory or availability of the supply chain and disruptions that are being caused by COVID? I don't know if you have any ideas or comments on that.
I don't have specific data on supply chain and that's effect, but I can say that's almost definitely a factor. That's a really, really good question. We are seeing that 54% of people are buying from brands that are brand new. That's a lot of people. Like, over half of people are now just suddenly willing to just shop from whomever. Definitely, I'd say inventory plays a big role. I would say what we have data to support is that how easily people can engage with a business digitally makes the biggest impact. I think if in the past they were able to go into the store or they were able to call or whatever, if they can't do that anymore and they have immediate needs, they're just going to go to the person that can fulfill the needs right away.
Great. We have a question here from Mandy. Now, they're a manufacturer And I guess when it comes to like actually running Google ads, and she's asking if we are in more than one big box store, like would they push people to their website, to like the store website? Like where would they like kind of decide where they're actually going to optimize and push people to?
I would say it depends on where you make your money from. Like if you're looking to get a big box store to buy your product for them to sell it there, it sounds like more of a B2B play. Then I wouldn't suggest having people go to the other retailer. But if that's what makes you money, just the more units are sold, doesn't matter where they're sold from, then a multi-source strategy could make sense. I think that's called like you can. There's like opportunities for co-op funding and things like that. My dad in upstate New York, he's actually in manufacturing as well. We have a family business that makes like plastic parts for like Harley Davidson and like some other like just parts and like stuff. And if he were to ask me that same question, I wouldn't tell him to direct people to like harleydavidson.com. I would say you want to look for sort of like the B2B buyer.
Yeah, awesome.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Great. I have a question here. It says smart bidding using lead data. Can this be used on Google Ad Grant accounts?
Oh my, what a great question. I am not familiar with the capabilities of Google Ad Grant accounts because it's just so out, it's a completely different sphere of what we do. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to though, because it doesn't cost you any more money. I know with ad grants, you're limited by how much you can bid. I think it's like $2 now a click or something. If you have automated bidding available to you in your account, you should be able to do it with the lead upload.
Great. I have a question here too on just the Google data actually matching your best customer profiles to target ads. How accurate would you be able to comment on the accuracy of that targeting capability?
Well, we use for the lead for the smart bidding for that.
Yeah, for when you were talking about like advertising to the lead data, like matching to your best lead customers.
So what we do is we take the lead data that's uploaded and we make a model. So then we create a model of what this person looks like online. So as far as accuracy goes, I think we're using like billions of inputs and it's adjusted per ad auction. So I would say it's pretty accurate. We don't have like a percentage, but I think the point here is that we're creating models, like multiple models of who your best customers are. And we're finding people that look exactly like them. So it's not like accuracy as far as like we are going to go find that person, because we don't need to find that person because they're already your customer, but we're going to try to find the person that looks exactly like them.
Great. Also just a question on, I guess, selecting what type of ads you're going to run in Google, display versus lead gen ads, and how to determine or make that determination on which is the best to use if you're B2B or B2C, or what your objective is, I guess.
So that's what you mentioned at the end, I think is the most important, is it depends on what your objective is. If you sell an actual item, we have so many options for shopping, not just Google Shopping. We have a product called Smart Shopping that's like a fully automated solution for selling products. Obviously that doesn't work for people that are lead gen. So lead gen, Google search is an excellent place to start. We also have YouTube products for lead gen. I mean, we just have so many products. I think the very first thing anybody here should do is think about what your objective is, your marketing objective, and then follow the path of Google products from there.
Great. Just touching upon, the recommendations. You mentioned sometimes like apply all, or sometimes ones you wouldn't apply. Would there be an instance why someone wouldn't apply one of the recommendations that the Google optimization score is making?
That's a great question. We have instances where a recommendation will surface that you don't feel is relevant, and that's okay. What you can actually do is press dismiss. There's not just an apply function, there's a dismiss function. And what dismiss tells our system is, this isn't relevant to me, serve me something different. The system takes that dismissal into consideration and then works harder to find you something that's more accurate. I will say though, if we are serving a recommendation in the recommendations tab, there's a reason for it. So they're not just like random, generations. I think the thing we see, the feedback we hear the most is, well, these keywords, this one keyword that's recommended doesn't make sense for me. It's probably the biggest pushback I hear. There's a reason though that we're telling you that you should be considering that keyword. It means that your competitors are either using it or serving on it a lot. People are converting on it a lot as it relates to your industry. I wouldn't be super quick to dismiss. I would really think it through, because there's true reasons why it's there. But you know it best. Just hit dismiss, and we'll serve you something that's adjusted.
Awesome. So I just have 2 more questions, and then we'll kind of wrap up. I have a question here, and maybe you can comment on it. Someone heard that custom intent is not a good strategy if you have a limited budget, and wasn't sure if you had comments on just what around that specifically.
I suppose it would depend on how limited the budget is, because with custom intent you can get very, very narrow in who you're trying to reach. And if you're trying to reach these folks, you have to bid more, so you require a larger budget, or on the opposite, you could be way up here in the funnel, and you may not get as much of a return as you'd like unless you truly invest. I think, again, I don't have the context of how much is too little.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just can't tell if something's going to work or not unless you give it a chance. And depending on your industry, there's so many factors. But that is not a general rule though. I wonder if it's specific to you and your business.
Great. One last question. I feel like I'd be remiss having Google on a call if I didn't kind of ask kind of a roadmap question and just say, is there anything that you know of that's on maybe the immediate roadmap or has just been recently released that people should know about or pay attention to as far as Google Ads?
We just came out with, I think there's like 40 something new betas. So these betas are whitelist only. They're for brand new features that our product team comes out. We want you all to test them first before we launch them globally. But these betas are only available because we work with WSI. So if you are working directly with WSI, we are able to share those with you. But that's a true indicator of the roadmap. Like that is the roadmap of what we're thinking as far as products are concerned. But one thing I think you all should be looking at, because I can't say too much because this is sort of like a public forum, is I would really be looking for updates around what's happening with video. And I would really be looking at updates around what we're doing with smart bidding.
Great. Well, thanks. I know we're just a few minutes over, so I'm going to wrap up, but I wanted to kind of make sure we got as many questions in there as possible. And if we didn't get to your specific question, make sure that you reach out either to the consultant that referred you so they can answer that for you, or touch base with us equally at contact@wsiworld.com. I just wanted to remind people that in addition to pay-per-click, obviously there's a lot of different tactics, and you can learn more about these tactics in our recently published book, Digital Minds. So that's available on Amazon right now. It goes through your strategic approach to actually connecting and engaging with your customers online. So make sure you take a look at that. Other than that, I mean, I want to thank you, Angelina, for joining us here today and giving us a lot of insights on, how people can plug into the different tools and resources available with Google Ads to kind of optimize their campaigns further. And I want to thank everyone for attending today too and taking the time out of your schedule to learn a little bit more. When you leave this session, you are going to get a survey that pops up. Please take time to fill it out. It lets us know how you found the presentation, additionally what other topics you'd like to learn about. Again, the recording and the slides of this presentation will be emailed to you later on today once we get all those finalized, so watch your inbox for those. Until next time, we have another webinar coming in November. We're going to be talking landing pages. It's a very good follow-up to Google Ads, how you can get more leads out of your landing pages. So watch for the information around that. Other than that, I wish everyone a great day, and we'll see you on our next WSI webinar. Bye, guys.